Let's see. So, yeah, we're back. It's been a little while. We're back.
Yeah.
The moon giveth her own light, and beyond, we like to go into the Bible. We like to go into strange things that we've been exposed to and are continually exposed to on the daily, and how we can think about them, and how we can combat them, and how we can learn, and I think ultimately pray for those that just seem lost, or don't have the protection of God, or feel like they have no defense mechanism, or they want to go along with being in the club because it provides them this sort of false safety. And yeah, we're here to delve into all sorts of stuff and see what we've come up with over the last few weeks.
Yeah, the past couple of weeks I've been just trying to ground myself, losing the use our live channel, speaking a little bit before. It's such a big hit because there's so much just basic truths in there that we don't have anymore. And I'm just trying to build up my faith every day by going to the Bible. And the moon being its own light, it's such a great point. You can't unthink that. You'll see the moon, and it's a blue moon apparently where I'm at. And it's just so obvious that the world isn't what they tell you it is at all.
Yeah.
It's something else.
Mm-hmm. And we had an inkling, and the reality of the world is much more mystical than they taught us. They taught us this cold gray system, and we are spinning in the middle of nowhere, and it all works because of the weight of the sun pulling us in. But without that, it wouldn't. And there's asteroids and meteors that may impact us, and we've been fortunate to survive. And you've talked about it before. You mentioned in one of your recent videos how you grew up really concerned about this, the idea of nuclear holocaust, and it would perplex you, and you'd feel like, what's the point of doing schoolwork, or what's the point of doing hanging out with friends, because I'm just so nervous that at any moment some crazy thing's gonna happen, everything's gonna go to shit. And
it felt like Survivor, the TV show, where you had to be friends with everyone, you had to make allies with everyone, because otherwise the school shooter is going to show up and you're not going to get the text the next morning not to come to school. So there's so much worrisome bullshit that you don't have to care about anymore. It's free.
It's free, and it's amazing because there's characters that are inevitably in your life that are going to go away because all they were doing was probably fear-mongering, or implanting things from the news, or just ideas to pull you out of your here and now, what's important, you being with the people you're being with, and making a good time, making love, if you will. And yeah, it's amazing that, like, it is like a parasite, and it's strange that it seems to affect all corners of society. But usually, what I've noticed is, if you do speak this truth, if you do so in a calm manner, and there's nothing that can be done. It's your point, and they usually just walk away. It'd be great if we could have a conversation, but yeah, I think when you have somebody that throws hand signs and acts a certain way, they're going to feel a bit flustered if you're going to stand up for yourself and speak truth. They want to know.
Yeah. Keep going.
I had a situation recently with a child that I hang out with, where I told him, because he kept bringing up the idea of nukes, I didn't believe in nukes, and his response was that my education has failed me, and an obvious thing is that it's special effects and CGI, and they can do anything behind a camera, and it's just kind of sickening, because it feels like, even as a 9-year-old, this person's told to maintain lies, and it's like a jester's world. It's so, in the veneration of the jester is prevalent. There's another channel out there, I don't know if you guys are aware of, called Understanding Conspiracy, where he goes into the Nephilim, jester worship of the media in front of us. And
that's kind of a bigger channel, right?
yeah, it's actually a bigger one. He just posted one recently, and it was weird because the topic on hand, I watched this video. There's this YouTuber I follow. He's an animator. He makes really trippy 2-minute videos. His name's Joe Kappa, and in the video he referenced a musician, and this musician wore a shirt of the person who's in this video, who's this complete clown character. I'm gonna go right to the video now. So on Understanding Conspiracy's channel, it's his last video. There is this profile of this character that is just beyond ridiculous. Like, this is a way you can wake somebody up just blatantly, obviously, through things like this. This guy named Lay.
You got a screen share?
Yeah, I'm on a screen share. I'm recording on the screen share. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll check.
Yeah. So it's the Nephilim Looked Like Clowns Part 40, and it's on this Leigh Bowery character. He's from Australia, and apparently he died in 1994 at the age of 33 from AIDS. So it's like, it's all these ridiculous nonsense. He dresses up as a clown, does all these perverted things, and dies at that age. And it's just, his whole career was venerating, like, just chaos, basically.
And 33, AIDS is 33, so died at 33 at 33.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
So,
and something I want to point out, just to loop it back into the scriptures a little bit. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That's John 8:32.
Yeah. The truth shall make you free.
Yeah, it is really freeing. Like, a little less fear-mongering for sure.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, it is entanglements. If you have all these things in your head, whether it be like the news, like some terrorist attacking or some school shooting, plus what we said before about the asteroids and meteors, all this stuff goes away.
Even something like abortion, like realizing the elections aren't what they say it is, you care a lot less about fighting for the cause. Like if you're completely engrossed in the reality they give us, you must be like so fucking. You're so concerned constantly. Even if you're a liberal, you're concerned about the cow farts are gonna ruin this world. We need to be vegan and a bunch of other things. Otherwise, this world's gonna die. And there may be some truth to that we're screwing over there. But it's not this thing where you can just convert people over to your political side and things will change. There's no change that's going to happen with the current system we're in. There's no chance that you can convert enough people to Republicanism and start a fire of that to stop the babies from being murdered. They're just going to get murdered no matter what.
Right. It is kind of a strange cover-up for what they're already doing, basically. It's like the Kabbalistic logic of kind of leveling out the blame, where it's like, it's the parents' faults because they're going into get abortions because they're heavily advertised. Like, there's definitely been abortions that would never have happened if not for the push from the government and all these creepy people. And to know that, and it's crazy too because you look at the rallies where they're talking about fighting for abortion, and it'll be some strat that says I had an abortion, and you're like looking at it and you're just like, this isn't even possible. This person has a bigger Adam's apple than I do, and they're the one who's trying to argue for this. Like, I don't have any faith in this. This is disgusting, and hopefully he comes back in some capacity, but like Strange Realm said, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting that Satan acts this way, and of course he wants to kill babies because that's when all the beauty of life is in front of you, and you can go any direction. And
keep going, but I have something to add after.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for sure, it's a part of this whole tranny system too. It's the fact that they need to use in utero to get these things pregnant, these strats pregnant, and it's just they're not going to turn out as well as a normal birth would get. We see an immense immense amount of defects. Like, being normal is not normal anymore. That's being lucky. If you're normal.
Yeah, that's a strange thing to look into, because I imagine hopefully, like by normal it's hard, because I mean, if you're a free martin or a swire and you're not like going along with this stuff, or you're just not let in, aren't you normal too? Um, it's weird.
Yeah, true.
It's weird. I don't know.
There's so many more birth defects because of this whole women aren't the one giving birth. You have these narrow hips and IVF and C-section and so many crazy things just to start a pregnancy, instead of the sperm being naturally selected. It's just a random one. There's so many different things wrong with just how children are being made nowadays. Like, I liked what Hans kind of admitted. He's like, I don't have the best reading comprehension, he said in one of his videos. So we really aren't the best of the best nowadays. We're lacking, I'd say, a bit compared to times in the past where things were normal, and maybe abortion is something that has to happen in society like ours. Otherwise, there will be so many defects that eventually will live in the idiocracy society, because they need to naturally select them through something like abortion, because they'd end up with so many Down syndrome people being made.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's Down syndrome, and then what's the one, Harlequin fetus. There's so many disgusting defects that it's almost better that the person is put out of their misery because of the awful life they'd have to live as this sloppy science experiment. It's a sad line, because you have empathy, you have sympathy, you want them to live the better.
Oh, I hear you now.
Oh, you hear me now? Yeah, you want them to live the best life that they can, but then you also have to recognize the system and acknowledge that we gotta stop giving birth in these ways if we want to have healthier babies on average.
Yeah.
And if that means
the vaccines aren't making it any better either.
Was that vaccines? No, you're right. Yeah, I think there is this. It's a complete club, pretty much locked down on that mentality. When with certain characters, there's some people I've met that seem to be throwing hand signs and stuff that will relent and say that they understand not vaccinating and whatnot, but for the most part, that goes hand in hand, I think. And it's this obvious argument that these vaccines ultimately, if they're going to be medicine, they have to be from herbs, and you can take herbs in different ways. You don't have to inject them. There's no reason to get it to you that fast. It's going to take effect. You can take a gentler route. And it's this idea that, Hans talked about it before, and we've talked about it too, where they frame it in a way that we used to be savages. I mean, the whole idea of cavemen and just being dirty, it's like we've never really been that way. And vaccines are some sort of saving mechanism. We need them to survive. Otherwise, we would die at age 30, when it's more like in the past we used to live to 120. We had more faith in natural medicine, flowers, and knew more. Like Hans was saying, we had better reading comprehension. We were more worldly and better understanding people. Now, we're so degraded that we're having to rely on government entities, but less and less so the more we know. So it's it's amazing how, as a child, knowing it felt wrong. It felt like I felt grossest right after I got vaccinations. I've only ever really felt sick in my life after I got vaccinations. Outside of staying up late and then exerting things the next day. Really, vaccinations were the source of all of my illnesses, and I haven't had really any serious illness since I've got a vaccination around end of high school time. And we're living in a time where you see bumper stickers everywhere about saying people ought to have choice. You can't we can't have forced vaccination, and I think that's obvious. I mean, that if you have forced vaccinations, they're going into livestock mode, and you can even argue, I think to some extent, that any vaccinations of livestock in and of themselves it's the essence of Satanism, really. These injections, I mean, it's like no one really needs them throughout. You should be doing it right. Herbs and healthier routes, more gentle routes to heal people and animals.
Well, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, there wasn't CPS, which is offering free flu shots. It just wasn't happening.
No.
And they love bringing up these hoax diseases and then saying that, oh, we got the vaccines to cure them. That's the reason we don't have polio anymore, is because we cured them all with vaccines.
That is such a good point. You have just hit the nail on the good topic to get into, where we have got to make a video. Maybe we can go into a lot of this now, but it's definitely on my docket. The next 3 videos is all the fake illnesses, all of them. We have to address, just like the ones that seem legitimate. We'll like see if we can gather people's accounts and stories and see if we can put together a good idea. But I have some stuff written right here. I just did this today. I was preparing for our talk, and then I also wrote some fake disease stuff. So
yeah, and that's what woke me up initially, was just how crazy the COVID hoax was. And I found a community that was like, no, this is obviously fake. It said some really obvious things, like, no, this is just another common cold. It's just a fucking common cold, even according to old media.
It's a common cold, and for them, maybe it is that old hat of CC33. They're just like, it's just a CC, just a.
Yeah.
It's just another one of our little tricks we play. Because, like Hans has said, the common cold, it seems to be something that people go through naturally. It isn't something that really can have a cure. It's just a natural thing we go through once in a while. And for them to.
It's always like the same time of year, too.
Yeah.
If you're really never around people, would you never get the common cold? The problem is, the answer is probably not.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't. So yeah, maybe going out to the mountains or going out abroad during that time makes sense. Like going away from people because you're more likely to get it, or I don't know, maybe going into deep hibernation.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't phrase that right. So you said that the whole theory about infection coming from other people, it's probably false. It's just some buildup that we have to deal with a certain time of year.
Yeah.
If you weren't around people, okay, well, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you weren't around people, you'd probably still get sick.
You would. I think you would either way. I think your body goes through this. It's like it's weird. It kind of reminds me of how I guess with many things in life, working out, like playing guitar, it hurts. It's like these things that yield good things, like you can lift more things, you can move more things, or you can play a song better. It kind of hurts. So it's this kind of, I think it's the same idea where you've got to go through a cold, you've got to go through some adversity in your immune system and handle it with all the things that God's provided for us, just to like show that you've got a lot of fight in you. You're not just going to sit there, just to show you can keep going.
At the end of the day, it's still the sniffles. People call it the sniffles. It's not that bad. It's crazy how the world just extreme fear started wearing stuff that wasn't healthy before, like masks, and then you had even more people that were wearing the double mask and the triple mask.
Oh, it's so ridiculous.
The world was insane.
Yeah, dude, the oranges on the face.
The orange on the face? What do you mean?
Like, it's like I saw somebody, I think it's from like Hawaii or some island community, wearing an orange peel on their face, like as a mask. There are some really cool ones too. I wonder if I can call some up. There's some ones where they basically had air plants all around their face within this little, within like a fishbowl type mechanism. It's beautiful. It's really cool, but it's also like it's weird because when you get all creative and interesting like that, it reminds me of when I was working at a helicopter plant, And I was talking to this Martin, and I got him to admit that, you know, the globe is total nonsense, but he wanted to he wanted me to think of it in an allegorical way. Like, it's not supposed to be literal, it's supposed to mean like your head. And it's that kind of thing where it's, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's a complete lie, and then they're trying to make this like turnaround comment to make it make sense. Where it's like, no, like, okay, if you view the world like from your head, then yeah, it is a globe, but it's not the way it's told to you in your science class. And like that's kind of the ultimate, I guess, realization of it, and what his perspective was. And it was like, yeah, just orchestrated confusion.
That's interesting. That sounds very deceiving.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to make it seem like, oh no, it's okay, it's not this like evil thing. And I immediately was like, that is so strange. Like, this guy is giving me bad vibes right now. Like,
Yeah.
and it's weird because they really love their deceptions, these fake things. And I guess going on to the illnesses a little bit. Cancer is a big one, and I just watching your video again this morning, the re-upload of Hans's what's it, the foot binding video.
Yeah, I watched it pretty recently too.
Yeah. So you were watching that. I mean, he just blatantly calls it out. He thinks cancer is a tranny thing. And I was just inspired today to put down a few things that stand out to me about cancer and why it seems fake. So, Susan G. Komen, fake breast cancer sponsor. That one's pretty much right in front of your face, laundering money. I think it's a fake story for a fake disease. I don't think they want you to get all up in arms about money and whatnot, but it's not even, it's just nothing's happening. It's just a fake story to get people.
Yeah, my ex got her Adam's apple shaved down and called that cancer, so that's my personal.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, for sure. The tracheal shave for Swire covered up by throat cancer. Hans has that video about his teacher. Definitely a lot of strep throat going around as children. It seemed a little bit odd. It happened a lot around the middle school age. And then childhood cancer, meaning hormone treatments going wrong, causing baldness, excuse for abusing alchemy. One that he hasn't talked about that I think is possible is testicular cancer to explain one nut Martins. Like, I would think that would be, oh, I only have one testicle, this is why, instead of just, no, you were born that way, it's not cancer. That could be something.
That's a great point.
Where like Lance Armstrong, I think, is the famous one, but then it just could have been that he only had one testicle the whole time. I don't know.
That's a great point.
It's it's pretty weird.
It's like it turns things around. Like, women, for some reason, they have this infatuation with like, if a dog only has 3 legs, it seems cuter to them. So it's like the same thing with men. It's like, no, I cancer. You can't call me this. When it's like, no, I was born this way. I'd be like, what the fuck? That's just weird.
Yeah, that's a good point. It makes it cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting too. Like, the same thing goes, I think, for a lot of people that are bald. Where in the Bible, again and again, you'll read many books, and it'll say again and again, like, they were brought to baldness and like shame, and yeah, if it is this big cover up for hormones or taking things that they shouldn't be taking, and they're just like, oh, I got cancer, and then they get all the, oh, it's okay, oh, I love your beautiful bald head. It's so gorgeous. I can see myself in it. So that I think that's okay. So then another one I wrote: breast cancer is a cover up for Swire folks chopping off their fake tits.
Yeah, because the body can reject implants.
I just can't fathom doing any of that. Why in the hell? Like, that the illusion has to be so big to them. It's weird looking back. Because I do think that there are some Swire that maybe they just got a better hormone dose or something, but they have natural boobs. It's strange because I definitely I'm thinking of one in my high school that like I was around her or him, just the Skull and Bones was definitely of a male, but she had sizable boobs and they weren't fake. They didn't seem fake, and it's just it's weird because I don't know what really can be at play there, how much pre-Marin, how big of a role that has in growing and growing.
Were you intimate? Were you intimate with them?
So okay, so there was this party. I wasn't like their partner at any point, but at this one party, we were just, I don't know, like kind of all feeling each other's boobs, like just like it was weird. It was like we were high schoolers experimenting or whatever, feeling each other's parts and stuff. And yeah, I felt her boobs, and it was just like that feels like a bigger set of boobs to me, and I don't know. But yeah, like looks with cheek throw hand signs, all that. But
my partner just would use a ton of bra implants. What are they called?
Inserts.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it seemed like she had boobs, when in reality she really didn't.
Yeah, I think that's the case for a lot of them, and yeah, it is. Push-up bras. It is usually the case, like where you'll like they have like some clever way, and then you'll get to like the moment where you guys are like, I don't know, naked or whatever, and then it will look different than what you've seen the entire time, because you're right, like a push-up bra, you didn't think about it or they didn't mention it, and yeah, like it is so strange, the hidden nature of it, like the I don't know. It always gets me too is the Hans video where he goes off on this person who's like, "Oh, I just found out my partner's trans. We've been together 9 years," and he's just like, "What the heck? I would have ditched that thing to the curb." Like it's mean, but it's also something that I think it's so weird. Like, how can you not address that plainly? Like, I don't. It's odd.
I've had sex with you, and you didn't care to bring that up.
Yeah, it's pretty important. I guess pretty because it's intimate. I think that like sex it ultimately is this, like you're letting your guard down completely, and this person is intimate with you, and you ought to be telling each other about any weird thing like STDs, obviously, but then also I think if you happen to be trans or what, you're special, what anything special that you have, you shouldn't be withholding that information.
Not at all.
So yeah, I think that's a good one. I think that they definitely do that with breast cancer. Lung cancer could just be emphysema or a disease of the lungs, and they just call it that. Like someone who smokes cigarettes all the time. I can't really discern someone who has lung cancer and someone who has emphysema. Like it seems like it looks pretty similar.
Okay.
But again, maybe I can look into that closer. So then I guess at center it's the T cells and tumors. Like that's the big thing about cancer. So are these legitimate things or sci-fi? Do we get tumors? We get other tumors from things that aren't cancer, of course. And I guess that's really interesting to think about. Like cancer, is it all fake, or is there like a handful of them that are legitimate? It's confusing.
Something that guest speaker really kind of goes off on before she kind of leaves us was kind of the effect of like internet having on her. Like she stopped being around Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And maybe that's part of the reason we see cancer. It's like nothing we see in the Bible. Maybe a lot of these cancers we're seeing is being around like 5G and stuff like that. I don't know.
That's a good point. Maybe that is the case.
The conspiracy theorists, what they get wrong for sure, though, is like they get freaked out about 5G. Why were they freaked out about 4G or 3G or 2G? Like, it's all bad. It's not this, all of a sudden it's time to get your show paperwork done to make the 5G cause look stupid. It's always been a bad thing.
Yeah, it has been. And I'm amazed that exactly. It hasn't been along the way here. Each step, we've had all these alerts. It's been this big 5G hoopla. And why? It seems like, because the whole hoopla around that made me feel less concerned. Like, how is it that different than what's already around? But I don't know. It could have been. It might be a big jump, and it is genuine. It's pretty crazy. But if the essence is this, and if she talked about it, and Strange Realm, I hope he comes back in some capacity. But if he's gone, then
I think what happened to Strange Realm, and you probably considered this too, he just wasn't proud of what he was putting out.
I don't know how. How can he think that? How can he think that? I don't get that. Like, nothing he was saying was mean. I thought he was blunt and honest and sharing his testimony, and I think
he got banned.
I think he either got banned or there's someone in his life that was like that threatened him if he didn't delete it.
Yeah. I could totally happen.
Because I think they might have heard his voice or someone told him. That's what I see. I don't know for certain. He might have just felt bad. That might be it too. But I thought his content was all really good, and I think he held his course well. He didn't say anything bad about anybody. I think leading with the do not consent mentality really it does wonders for whatever you're going to go at with this, because it empowers you where you feel so disempowered walking around in public these days. It's really empowering to say you do not consent to all this crazy drag and the strange political system and people saying globe everywhere and kids everywhere. It is so empowering to say that. And
the whole consent thing, I really find that so true. I remember specifically when I was going to this rehab, that was the worst rehab of my life. The guy said I was only going to be there for 2 weeks. He said over and over, I need you to basically consent to everything. I need you to agree to everything. It's like, and as soon as I gave him that go-ahead, my life became hell. You can't just give someone carte blanche consent for anything. So take advantage of that.
It's amazing.
I'm sure that's something with masonry too. I bet they do that to trap people in. It's like, you need to consent to whatever we tell you. And they'll be like, I trust the Brotherhood. I'm down with the Brotherhood. I'll accept it. And then they fall into this trap where they talk about something like flat Earth. They'll get their head chopped off when it's just such an obvious base necessity for anyone living on this planet to know about that. And living on this realm to know that.
Yeah, it's amazing what they'll go under to keep these really mundane, childish secrets. The whole levels thing is so bizarre, but it is their entrapment. Their whole, I need to raise up and be a higher wizard than my fellow brethren. Like it's like they're gunning for each other while they're in the lodge, and it does feel like that. Like I think whoever gets up on stage, it kind of is like that mob mentality where you have like the one Don, or you have the one 33rd degree Mason at the top leading the sermons, and you definitely have people that are going to be envious or I would imagine, or just not like content with who's up there. And it's just this whole system. With secrets in mind there. It's only going to go south because they're all committed to the dark side. They're not they're going to undo themselves, and by fighting for each other's positions, they're going to make things obvious and give things away. And then, like we both said, and Hans said, they've now blighted their eye for stuff that you can go on the internet and find out. It's not even hard. They've lost their eye. They mutilated their body for nothing. Like
so many of our hate commenters are just that.
Yeah.
One eye, and they hear someone telling something that they don't even know yet, and then they send to the next level, and they're fighting this out. They're just so salty. They're like, "Fuck this."
Fuck that. Yeah. And
take your meds, get chilling while they're crying.
Yeah, and I think it must be a money thing. It has to be. Like they want the Wally. They want this world of ultimate convenience. So it's weird. It's like how they could not. It's just being speculative. Like what we're doing is being speculative, and then those videos that you get a lot of responses on, or like okay, Hans's #1 video. The war being fake, it just it is because of everybody like whining about it, and and like so sad about their soldiers, and like, no, you have no idea, with no real evidence or anything. It's just it's like they're it's like they're standing there with like crying because they know that their lore has been found out, and like, you know, there's nothing that they can really do.
Yeah, I know. In the Vietnam War one, there's this comment that's so long, so in depth, that tries to disintegrate the argument, but it's so ridiculous. It's like the longest, most in-depth comment ever made. And we see the basic thing going, okay, obviously it's not true. And I'm gonna come back with what I was thinking about last podcast. I was talking about if the Trinity is true or not, and I'm gonna say it's not. I'm gonna say Quadrinity is true, and that includes us. At that day, you shall know that I am in the Father, and ye in me, and I in you. So Trinity is then dismantled. It's actually Jesus is a part of us. We're a part of Him, and it's great blessing that I'm not sure I understand yet, but there's Bible verses about that.
It's this deeper connection, and that maybe that is kind of the mind confusion around the Jesus element, that Trinity aspect. So the Quadrinity being the inclusion of use, where you have the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and us as the four corners, the four pieces to the puzzle. I mean, it makes sense. 4 is such a integral number to foundation. And something else I wrote about this podcast on that point, right here, let's see, is the Jesus thing, and like the kind of like fake mindset around it. So here's what I was thinking. So we are vessels of God. Confusion surrounding idea is Satan. I've had trouble with the idea as a straightforward brainwash for ignoring your own life and constantly placing a character of history in your place for life's experiences. However, Jesus represents dropping ego and giving your life to the greater good. The idea of fame is antithetical to Jesus because everyone ought to be Jesus if we're living in harmony. It's just like, it becomes this, who healed you? Oh, anybody could. So why does it matter? You know, it's not this big deal where it's like, you gotta have a doctor and all this crazy like knowledge and these books, and you have to do everything by the book. It's like, everybody knows how to do the heart surgery. Everybody knows how to do the arm surgery. Everybody, it's just, I
gotta verse to that. He that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do.
Yeah. It's all out there. We can learn all this stuff, and then they can't do anything. It's just that we don't even need the system. You guys don't have free healthcare or whatever. Like we got a little hospital. We got our own medical center here, where we have people all can handle it and do everything, and we can have sterile equipment.
It's all about like confidence too, because if you don't believe you can do it, you're not going to do it.
It's so true. The whole. Dude, we talked about it, I think, last time, the whole deference to the Broadway. I mean, in many ways, where you go to the doctor every 6 months, even if you have nothing wrong. Like, there were so many times I went to the doctor as a kid, or child, I should say, but maybe as a kid because I didn't understand the world as a child. And what do you have being done? You have some person checking your eyes, checking your ears, checking your pulse, checking your reflexes, and then giving you a shot. And I mean, what I had done, I recall, and I think this is the case for most places, you have your testicles checked for cancer. So if that is indeed a fake thing, that's pretty creepy. So I'm hoping that I don't know. I don't know. I hope that we get clarity on that, and then we can move on. But what I'm getting at is, you can do all those things really easily. Like that I could do all those things for my daughter. I don't need to give her the vaccination, all the rest of the things, the eye test, the hearing, the reflexes, and so forth. It's not difficult. It's a very straightforward procedure, and they just make it seem like you need to have degrees and money, and investments, and it's just not the case. Like, it's all there for you. And it may not be as glamorous as like the hospital, going to the doctor's office and then wearing the outfit, but that's really all it is it's a costume they're wearing that isn't that difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it's the special robes of the Baphomet religion.
Yeah.
Which just has, for some reason, the Baphomet's dick as their logo. It's like, people try to say it's like some biblical thing about the serpent believing on the serpent or something like that, but it's too clearly this Baphomet crutch. I noticed this picture. I'm gonna send it to you in the chat.
Oh yeah, let's go to the chat.
Yeah, it's like a obvious like flat Earth thing. Like the people are holding onto the globe like it's flat, not like it's a ball. They're like gripping it like it's just like a disc, and it's also like a real flat Earth map, not like the big one.
Oh shit! Hold on.
It's side tangent. Sorry about that.
Oh, so they're holding a real flat Earth map, but holding it like it's a globe.
No, they're not holding it like it's a globe. They're holding it like it's flat.
I see it now. Yeah, like you could not hold it. They could not grip on it that way that they are little children. Yeah. I'm gonna pull it up for the viewers. Hold on. Because I have you on the phone, and then I have you on like speaker with my. I have a lot of things going on right now.
Okay, interesting.
Battery 100%.
Hold on.
Call ended.
You still there?
This has been a good podcast so far. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah. So I'm gonna call up your image right here, and we're gonna talk about it more. Let's see.
Yeah, the flat Earth is just a great thing to learn. It puts me to sleep knowing like I live in something that's less chaotic, and there's so many proofs for it. It's amazing. It's interesting that this is the concept they choose to flood with shields too. They realize how important it is. It links directly to the Bible.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so it is integral, and this is the sort of subtle thing that they would do. And if you notice in this picture, I mean, I see it all the time. You have the girl right behind them, and she's throwing the two. She has the hand out, but she has the two fingers put together in the middle, and that is another little hand sign. That is the triad claw. She's like the opposite of the Vulcan. The opposite of the Vulcan with the two fingers in the middle. The M, Mason M triad claw. And sometimes I think people can fall into it accidentally, but usually when it's drawn, it's very intentional.
You see it all the time in drawing. I sometimes find myself doing triad claw if I'm like putting my hand on my hip.
Oh yeah, totally.
Kind of naturally.
It's very easy to fall into that one.
Yeah. When you're raising your hand or displaying the fingers out, it's weird to have it like that in the picture. And cartoonists, again and again, are making pictures like that, like you said.
Yeah.
And that's what I think maybe number two most important thing is the hand sign thing. Because you can't unsee. People are in the cult around you with these finger signs. Like, you'll see them everywhere you go.
Well, and it's interesting too because I usually associate the devil horns with lying, and the whole thing with them pointing with the devil horns. I've had that so many times happen in convenience stores or paint shops, where the guy will be like, "Oh yeah, it's over there," and with devil horns, and I double take it, look at him twice, and whatever, and I'm like, it's about such an inconsequential thing, just like you could just point with your finger, and then. Another thing that I look back on, and I think people still do it, but I haven't had it happen in a little bit, is like the subtle middle fingers, where same idea, like someone will point with one, and then you're like, oh, well, they were just blatantly saying F you, but not it wasn't supposed to be genuine. Right. Yeah, I had this really strange.
Pull it off.
They do. I had this really strange one, dude. I went to go pick up paint. I think it was in Bristol. Yeah, Bristol, Connecticut. And there were these two guys there, and both of them behind the counter, back and forth to each other, throwing devil horns about where the paint was that I needed. And I'm just like, this is insane. This is total. Like, how much more clown world can this get? Where you have them signaling back and forth like they're like flailing lightsabers at each other in lightsaber practice. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, the hand signs is such a big idea because I think that you can easily fall into throwing devil horns like it's rock on. I definitely did that a lot growing up, not thinking, throwing the peace sign a lot because you just see it everywhere. And then nowadays, it just feels kind of awkward because it doesn't really represent what you think it represented, because you can look at the person's face while you're taking the picture, and it's the way they look. Oh my god. I could look up any Hollywood actress, and it's just this intense look, this like I'm on the dark team, whatever side, and that's what's following along with the hand sign. And it's not, oh, this innocent peace to the world face. It's, oh no, I'm the part of the 2 club, the X club, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So that's such a big aspect to waking up. It was kind of like a mirage, like all these hand signs where you were told they meant, and you just believed them and didn't think of, oh, maybe there's another meaning to them. The okay sign isn't just okay. All these signs have other meanings to them.
I think they're just having such fun on the way out. I don't know.
It's like a party. Yeah, it's a big party for them.
Yeah.
And it looks really ridiculous and silly, and it like, I think they like being clowns. And like the crazy thing is, you have clowns like David Bowie that paint themselves up and wear all these crazy outfits, and then you have clowns that are like Donald Trump in lawyer suits all the time, and it's the same level of ridiculousness. And it is pretty wild.
Definitely. That's a video we should definitely make. It's hand signs and diction, and like define the diction behind people. Because I was on Jesus for life, I don't think that's there anymore. Or we could go through it real quick. What do we? I think devil horns, to me, I think it's deception, but I think the 666 one is also deception as well. Like that's to me is what I imagine as when they're lying, they want to tell other people they're lying. It's always the double horns or the 666.
Yeah, it is.
Or maybe it's glorifying. Like when they're like glorifying themselves. I don't know. The trim claw, that means master for sure.
Yeah, it does. It means master. Like they're like the big hat in the room. The devil horns. Another one I think I've heard a couple times is it's like they're allowing the demon to come through them, like they're housing the demon. Like the two, like they are present with the demon. Both of them are inside of the body. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's hard to rationalize it, and it does seem like there are levels where there's people that just do it because they think it's kind of cool, and there's people that are doing it with dark intent and like with twisted, bent knowledge, and just scary kind of looking people. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it is clown. They are clowns, and they can't really harm you, and they look kind of mean and disgruntled, and you've got to help them. And I have such a comic book mind. I want to make, again, we're talking about making this the keywords they use, but I want to make a comic where basically I'm confronted, or one of us is confronted with one of these characters, and we push them away from the more egotistical Baphomet lifestyle and bring them into the Christ. When you really get into Christ, like I said before, like it is just your ego's gone, because I think that's the correct reading of it. It's my dad growing up would always say, because he would basically he would explain why he went away from Catholicism. It was all about Jesus. It was annoying to him because it's like he wants to. What the Bible talks about, you want people that want to live by their own imagination. They want to just make stuff up and then live by that own egotistical made up realm.
The parable of the seeds and the seeds that are scattered out and then you get choked by different things. Some land on rocks, some land next to thorns, some land on good ground. And the certain people who are choked away is by like cares and riches of this world. Cares like trying to be liked and stuff like that. I think that's one of the big essential parts. It's none of the package for us. We're going to have to be liked everywhere we go and be this kind of figure that people like to surround themselves by. We're people that are going to be outcasts.
Right. It's innate in the condition in what in the path that we've chosen. I mean, every day, I think the whole idea of God holding His hand out is you can choose to look at the Bible. You can choose to look at these pretty plain truths. Like, it's not complicated, the golden rule versus do as thou will. Like, that's not a complicated truth at all. Like, every day you choose, and it is so great not lying. And if I do have a white lie, if I say something that's slightly off, it hurts deeply now, whereas in the past, blanketed by this world of fake it till you make it, I didn't feel anything. And it's like, now I have all these visions of things I did in the past and where I was, and that I can clearly see them and where I was, and it's so helpful to be older now and examine your child. I think for a lot of us, I think if you're not in this club, it's a pretty torrential, difficult childhood, difficult life, because you don't naturally get friends. It's hard. You have to really work for friends, and then once you give up on the friendships, they don't usually reciprocate. It's like they ended their session and they don't care. It kind of sucks. I've talked about before. There's this one character recently, and my partner was talking about him, and one interaction that she had with him being Martin, where we would hang out. I worked with him, and we smoked pot and whatnot. And one day he came over to bring pot to my house, and I wasn't around to give it to my partner. And he didn't even look at her. He just gave her the pot and left. And it just so clearly shows that it's a plant. It's somebody that's not really your friend, doesn't care about you, and has a mission to break apart your life, or siphon off your good energy. It sucks to think this way, but it's also helpful. It's like I'd rather be genuine and honest about what I've experienced than try to sugarcoat it and make it seem like it's not genuine. And I'm fortunate to not have a character like that in my life right now, or at least that I'm like clearly aware of. There is one guy I work with who brings up a lot of gruesome imagery frequently, and I think it is in the same vein, but it just seems less malicious. And I think it's just kind of hard to avoid. It's just there's so many Arrested Development people out here who they really want to shine in the grossest form way. They want to bring up all this imagery that is crazy and chaotic, and just to put you there, and then that's it. Like, it's so strange, but that's what I see time and again. And I think by not reacting to the drama, I mean, if you look at life as a stage, if you're walking around and you're not creating the drama like you used to be, or you're not reacting to it because you're like, what's the point? This is just some psyop or some obvious like ploy to get me going in a certain direction or something. Then
they want you to react in a certain way so they can think you're stupid. They want to be like,
they want to be like,
I know about the big secret.
Yeah, and it is this strange Hogwarts, they're playing with the Muggles kind of mentality that you can never get behind. It's so evil. And I think naturally when you're not just, I always think of it like SpongeBob, or like just a doormat character, where you're not just, whatever. This is how I get treated all the time, so I'm just going to continue to go through the buzzsaw. I'm going to continue to put myself in this position for no reason, because that's just the way people are. Instead of doing that over and over again, you feel out the spirits, and then I think you naturally will find there's places where it makes sense for you to be, and there's places where there's no point because you've tried and this person hasn't reciprocated, and they pretended and they fake like you, and it's clear. Like they're not very good actors, and they're like some I think school says their mask falls all the time. You'll know, like, it's so wonderful and treasured when you find a real human like yourself and Hans and guest speaker and Strange Realm and Arts and Dark Sea, and I mean there's a lot of us out there. It's just it seems like so many people are afraid to really like let it all out and express themselves fully. Like the thought police are pretty stringent, or it is like the time of, I think you said Noah, where only 8 people get saved, and there's so few of us out here hooting and hollering about all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's just too awesome for them. Is what they think, I imagine. But a lot of them are deceived legitimately by stuff like Paul, by stuff like these churches. It's so weird. It's like, why would you ever trust like the belief? Why would you put your faith on just one person that's in your small town?
It's so odd.
One of the 60 churches, you're just putting all your faith in your own freaking soul on one person.
Isn't that so strange?
And they went to school for a little bit, and it's like,
yeah.
Anything we know about school, it makes everyone a photocopy of something stupid. Like I shouldn't say that word, but it makes people liberal a lot of the time going to university. It just makes people think in the same direction. It's them as another cog in the machine. And what I'd like us to go through, maybe you could pull up your Bible and go to John 14. We try to decipher a lot of these scriptures, and maybe we don't get a little bit out of it, but it's one I've really had a tough time understanding myself. And it's good to have another person to go through it, because you both bring new ideas to the table. This one's, I think, equally as complicated as like the Daniel one we went through. That was super interesting.
Yeah, it was. Before we get into that, I have it pulled up on the screen to go on with the church dynamic and how we can maybe change it for the better. So yeah, what always, I think everybody, we talked about it, having one pastor, having one person at the front that you're trusting to relay the word of Jesus as well, and purely and so forth. It is inherently wrong. It feels wrong. And a format for that I think makes more sense is if you have this open church where literally every night you have a different speaker, a different person in the church, and everybody contributes and has a big role, and it's all even, and it's felt like a family or a village.
That's good that you bring that up, because that's kind of what like Jesus did. Like the synagogue, he was allowed to speak in the.
He was allowed to speak in the synagogue. What was that? You still there? Hello?
Instead of just one.
Oh wait, sorry. Can you repeat the last bit? You cut off for like 20 seconds there.
Oh jeez. Okay, I don't remember everything I said, but that does sound interesting. Having more ideas brought to the table with more people. But what Jesus did, he was the speaker in the synagogue too.
Yeah. Yeah. As like a regular parishioner, someone who just attends, like
Yeah.
we're all part of the group. It's not this one person with robes at the front.
Yeah, it's not one guy and his buddies. It's so odd going to church all the time. It's so manipulative. I said this in my last episode. But they will crank the AC as soon as they want you to feel something. They'll crank the AC. They'll be playing all their garbage music. They'll turn on blue light so you're crying during certain parts of it. Like it's ridiculous.
Oh my God. Yeah, you mentioned that AC aspect is ridiculous because they need everybody to feel when they're not, when it's sterile. It's like, oh, I don't really, they have to change the environment just to make the whole spectacle work.
It's disgusting. I've seen it in both churches that I went to.
12 or 2?
Both churches I went to.
Oh, both churches you went to.
I like going to church where you can talk about yourself like you're saying, which is it's a good format. I recommend you even go to like small groups. It's where you can tell them, oh, it's going to be about the story before. I openly talk about how I think all is possible and you're staying by your words, which is like the two most cancerous fucking ideas you can bring to the table according to them. And the little small group I went into, they had this picture of this golden devil horns. And I was like, what? Why do you have that here? Why do you have the hits? I said, like, why do you have devil horns in there? And I was never invited back after I went on a rampage. I was like, it was me against like 12 people. It was a small group of like probably like 20, 25 people. I just went on a rampage. Like, there's 2 natural women who can hear this message. I'm also trying to convince every creature. But I know it doesn't fall on deaf ears, but they're all freaking freaked out. While I'm just relaying a simple message that's heartfelt, and surely they're understanding it. Surely I'm giving them somewhat a nudge in the right direction. That's my only hope.
Yeah. So wait, where the devil horns were, it was in one of these like side rooms where you guys could have these more intimate chats?
So it was someone's house. That's how
Someone's house.
You go to people's houses. And on the first table on the left, there was just this massive round table. Just the golden devil horn altar. It was disgusting.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I asked him about it. He's like, that means I love you.
Oh my God.
I don't think he's deceived that much. And he had a big like picture of like a 1,000-year-old tree, something like that too. I remember bringing that up to you before.
Oh shit! So like, kind of bragging about taking it down.
Yeah, it's like a picture of it. It's like so gross.
Oh, it's amazing how in that case it just seems plainly inverted in every way. Like bragging about killing one of God's great creations, and then I love you with devil horns on the table, in the middle of everything. Like, it's just so antithetical, so polar opposite. It reminds me of the time I broke down and was chatting with the last year with the guy I mentioned a couple of times who I worked for out in the Berkshires, who would regularly bring up the sodomy stuff. Just like every other conversation was really forced because he was turbo gay. And I wanted later on in the season, I just broke down and told him like all about the club and how, but I did it in a way where it was very emotive, and I wanted to connect. I wanted to have a deeper understanding of this world, and I keep seeing all these hand signs and these people, and there seems to be a link with trans, and I went on for like 5 to 10 minutes about just telling everything, and at the end of it, he's like, I agree with some of what you're saying, and just like stared blankly, and then I have to go feed my dog. Bye. Like didn't want to talk about any of it. Didn't want to like ease my conscience on anything, except I guess I agree with some of what you're saying, which doesn't do much. And yeah, just exit stage left, and then never was talked about again, never was brought up again. Hans referenced in one of his recent videos how he had that discussion with the guy in the car ride about when he found out all the celebs are trans, and it's like so awkward. And but it's when you're going through and you're just figuring that stuff out, you don't think that it's rude. You're just like, oh, don't you guys know, or haven't you guys looked into this? Like, you're wanting to help them and whatnot, but
it's making me laugh. Thinking back on it. It's like and I also brought up the famous line from stuff I think school is like, we have a conversation, we broke into even smaller groups, and I was talking to her like, I like flat Earth, and they're like, what do you mean? It's just like, I like it. It's cool. I like it because I like it.
I like it because I like it. That is it. Like, you don't need to go on and have everything explained. You can explain it easily, but also it's fine. Just like
it's so much fun, like evangelizing, knowing what we know now. Like, knowing we can just press the buttons on people. Like,
yeah,
they're robots. It's insanely amusing.
It's amazing.
We gotta go on Monkey Chat one of these days, and it's like an even duo. We can both be on the webcam together and then talk to other people like that.
Oh my god, we gotta do that.
Or we gotta go to churches and stuff like that. And that's the best. Small groups, the best format. I can't wait to get my car. I'm working hard at Chipotle at the that's the best thing in the world, is trolling people with the truth or evangelizing whatever way you can. Because the more you make the other people chip out, the more the other people see the truth in it.
Yeah, because they're like, why would he react so strongly? Oh, there must be some truth to it. This isn't like some schizophrenic, or I don't. That's another disease we can talk about. But
when you're making them feel like the schizophrenic, you win the arguments by being calm and sort of Maximilian Mouse. I love trolling. Trolling is the spice of life, in my opinion. And we're in an era where we're lucky enough to press as many buttons as we want on these people.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's such a fun thing to take part in and do, and you don't have to be mean.
I'm glad you got that love part too.
Yeah, so like something he referenced that I thought was so funny is like, we should live in a world where you can just say, I just don't believe in volcanoes. Like, it's not a big deal. But it's like there is this thought police and the religion of science, and yeah, you can say it though.
The religion of Google.
The religion of Google.
Don't ever say anything that you can Google and it'll say you're wrong.
Right. or Wikipedia.
Yeah.
All
right. Yeah, keep going. But after that, do you want to go into John 14?
Yeah. But yeah, the little subtle things I talked to you about it over text about just all the media characters. I keep pushing the mask thing at work, and it's so great because it just makes you can tell. It's little ripples of this whole thing is a big sham, and I'm steady through it. Like, you guys are gonna bring up fake stuff, and actually the last day of work this past week, the guy that usually is pushing a lot of this like fake stuff, he basically said at the end, he just made this admission where he's like, at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff, it doesn't really matter. And I'm like, yeah, thank God. Like, this is what, like, yeah, like, I'm all for that. I was elated. I mean, maybe he's just saying it to be funny. I don't care. But the fact that he said it at all, it bodes well for the future. And yeah, the more we can talk about stuff that matters, the better.
Right. And the stuff where our soul matters the most. So
yeah,
I'm gonna get into. I'm gonna start.
You're gonna start reading John 14. Are you there? Hold on. Hello. Hold on. Hello. You there?
Yeah, take your time. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so do you want to start reading John 14?
Sure.
Okay.
Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. Pretty simple. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. So that's awesome. We're having like this person who's made the whole earth in like 6 days, pretty much, just making this great grand place for us throughout all this time. That's amazing. Like, this is just like a trying ground. Like, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, nature's beautiful and everything, like much more beautiful than anything humans make. But at the end of the day, it's nothing compared to what we're going to experience in heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that rust and moth doth not corrupt.
Yes. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, that ye may be also. I will come again. Okay. So Jesus even talking about his return in that verse. And whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know. And Thomas saith unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. That's such a famous verse, John 14:6. There's a good channel I like that goes into like reverse speech, which is a super interesting thing. I think there's certain celebrities that like practice that stuff.
Oh, totally. The one I saw was what's his name?
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon and the former Batman, what's his name? Michael Keaton. And like the way they talk, they'll add a few things at the end of the sentence that sound like they could be little like grunts, but then it's clearly the language of backward speech.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can remember all of this and it's so gross feeling.
Yeah.
How can that be? It reminds me of like the parcel tongue, like the fact that Harry Potter could speak to snakes in Harry Potter. It's that kind of thing where it's like, oh,
Really?
they're like speaking snake language.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's probably all scripted out if they're doing something like that. I doubt they can do it all like off the top of their head.
Oh,
They
you're
gotta be
probably yeah,
practicing that stuff.
yeah. They definitely script that out. Wait, so what's the channel?
John 146 KJV.
That's the channel?
Yeah, you might have to search filter by channel for that.
Okay, hold on.
It's a good one. It goes into like the Super Bowl stuff, which is really weird, and it's a pretty deep dive into reverse speech. If anyone ever wants to check that out,
Yeah.
and it went into even like Skrillex, like someone where there's not even a lot of lyrics. Every single one of the lyrics, where if you turn it backwards, it's something demonic. It shows you how it's like Satan's world right now.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's Skrillex's character. I mean, yeah, you can. He was kind of like, or whatever, was kind of a big wake up for me musically, because I realized there were so many people supporting what sounded like just really chaotic noise and like robot, like dubstep was that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not music anymore. I mean, you could argue really any of this satanically driven stuff isn't, but at least some of it has rhythm, and now it's just gone to like robot noise, and yeah.
Wob wob.
Yeah, wob wob wob. Okay, so then the Kendrick Lamar's Pure Evil. It's going into all the celebrities and their hand signs.
Oh yeah, it goes into the hand signs too. I think you're right.
Yeah. Oh wow, this is a big one to get into. I'm gonna have to spend some time on this channel. Wow.
It's a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot here. And it's so nice to see that there's so many different avenues, because it's like, even if at the end of the day some of these might like be snakes making some of these channels, it's like at least some good information is getting out there. You talked about it with Owen Benjamin before, where like there are some truths, some good truths that you woke up to with his channel. I've talked about it with Eric Dubé. Both of these people have been shown to throw devil horns, but I feel like they both have made good videos that woke us up to big things. So it's very strange, where it's like someone who may not really be your friend brought you along to somebody else that you totally connect with, and you see all these same things.
Well, there's a lot of stuff we have to parse through that was fake, so they give us the little bit of truth and also the poisonous M&Ms with it.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's our job to kind of figure out which is poison, which is not. And probably for Eric Dubé, probably like the veganism. For Owen Benjamin, a lot of this stuff, he keeps you looped in Hollywood. Like he is a celebrity. He's been on so many like TV shows. And
he's on Joe Rogan. Yeah, he's on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's huge. It's like how are like the truthers we're watching just actors, just huge actors.
They are. Talking about the transvestigation, making those videos and whatnot, I think we've talked about Poncho Pete before, right?
Poncho Pete, that's new to me.
Okay, so look him up. So I'm gonna subscribe to this guy, but then also Poncho Pete it's this like rolling channel of every single celebrity ever, like just ever I've ever seen. With he puts the male skull and the female skull over every single celebrity and shows you how.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a really good one. I think he mirrors some videos too, but it's not a bad backup to the He Is Our Light channel. I think we can make better videos. Don't get me wrong. Like most of his videos, it's like him playing music with just the screen rolling, and the images of the male skull and the female skull superimposed on the celebrity faces, just showing you how it's all of them. It's a really good wake up. Just like look at here's the music playing. Here's half an hour of straight celebrities. Every single one of them has the opposite skeleton that they're showing you they are. That's
really important.
But I think He Is Our Light channel about transvestigating people in your real life, the people that are less dressed up, less circus acts. knowing these basic ideas about women, things I have written down here for now, and there's many more, but just women having cupid's bows, small philtrums, gentle gaze, high ears, soft chin, smaller, closer together features, rounded shoulders.
Dental gaze. Is that like dental arch?
No, gentle or like soft gaze.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Like when you look at a woman, it doesn't feel like it's this intimidating. It's like because their skull isn't deep set, and that they don't have that that like male hunter like look. Subcutaneous fat layer, hips is wide or wider than shoulders. That is an interesting thing, the hips thing. I think that's it. It's kind of like a greater to than or equal than, but you'll never see the opposite. Where hips are going to be as wide or wider than their shoulders. I think if they're healthy, their hips are going to be wider. So it kind of gets weird with that one. And then hollow back, I think, is key. The whole hollow back girl. I think that was Gwen Stefani calling out her fellow swire. And then with men, the less pronounced lip bow. I think all people have like a tiny little bow in their lip at the top. I think it's like this. I have a theory that it's this imprint from heaven. I don't know. Like, just above the lip there, it's like the philtrum area. And then larger philtrum for growing a mustache. The FTM stashes is a big way to wake up for me. You can just see the fake facial hair, I mean, there isn't a whole lot of real men around, but when you see the FTM stashes and you compare them to your own or Hans's, it is so clear the fake hair. And then
this is a good point we're in a verse because we're talking about Jesus being the truth.
Yeah. The low ears is a big key. Square chin, big jaw. Facial features are huge for men. Deep set, intimidating eyes. Square shoulders wider than hips. Arms hang straight down. Huge kneecaps, and then Adonis belt that's not like crazy, but like clearly there. Like all their features are exaggerated, basically. I mean, there's so many old videos like the He's Our Light channel have with Hans like pointing at this like blonde swire girl, and he's like, "That's my body. Like that's it. Like that's not like there's no that's it. It's just this straight up and down like sold to you as, oh, she's super fit. You want to date fit women, strong women everywhere." And you just look at yourself the whole time. Then you're like, oh, that's me the whole time. This is so weird.
I like also the marker of small face versus bigger face. So the amount of portion that the facial features take up the face, the bigger, the more masculine. The smaller the face, the more female.
That is huge. That is a big. That is really like that. The Poncho Pete hammers that home, where it is so clear when you look at it from that perspective. Like the facial features take up the whole face on a man, and they really take up almost none of the face on a woman, and their eyes are close together, and they have that subcutaneous fat layer that seems to fill in the other areas, and it looks really weird when you have like a roided out Martin who goes to the gym every day. It's a very strange look, but the face should tell you. The facial proportions will always tell you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can I keep going?
Yeah.
Or you probably have more. Okay, sorry. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. So Jesus talking about kind of being one with the Father, kind of the Trinity idea. And from henceforth ye know him and have seen him. That's interesting. Even seeing the Father, he's saying. Philip saith unto them, Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. Jesus saith unto him, have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, show us the Father? Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. This is a very Trinity idea, like right here. Like, I don't know how you could come away with believing that Jesus is God after reading those verses.
Yeah.
And even the next one right after that, believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works What I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. So praying in Jesus' name, very, very important. And Jesus is going to ask the Father for us. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. So anything. If you love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. That's interesting. So as soon as we get the gift of the Holy Ghost, it's with us forever. And it's so interesting, the comforter. I remember so many times in my life where I've just been so down, so like disheveled and beat up by life, and then all of a sudden something pops in my head from what the comforter says, or is reminding me of what Jesus said, and it just brings me so much comfort. It's this marathon of life that we're trying to get through, and it truly helps. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him, but ye shall know him, for he dwelleth with you, and shall be in you. So the Spirit of truth.
That is special.
So interesting.
It's so special, and
yeah, right.
It's the whole idea, like Hans has talked about. We've talked about where when you first start looking into conspiracy, thinking it's interesting, thinking it like I'm willing to entertain these ideas. Like I want to know more. I don't want to just take what the news has to say or what is popular. I need to dig a little. That fundamental decision.
There's a 1% chance I'm wrong.
Right. But that fundamental decision to do that, I think, is key in you being of God. You have to start questioning things. You can't just take everything as is and accept it and go to bed and accept that everybody's figured everything out and I just have to be a cog in the machine. No, that's not the case at all. And it's actually quite the opposite. I think you have all these children running around with their heads cut off, and we are the ones that can bring things into harmony, because they won't. If we do our job right, if we live like Jesus, then they're gonna change their ways and be better people and undo their tear status and become like wheat. I mean, I don't know how else. Like it has to go. That's the way I think God wants it. It's like I'm gonna even let Satan plant his seeds, and my children are gonna be so good. They're gonna help Satan's seeds become like good children, and you know, if they're willing. I mean, I think it's so weird because I think there is free will. So it's every person has to make their own choices and decide, hey, maybe I'm not going to be popular, but I'd rather be a good person and help people out and have a chance at this horizon where I can be with God instead of just going along with the crowd when I know it's a dumpster fire. I don't.
It's so interesting that you bring that up right now. The next verse really ties into that.
Yeah, I will not leave. Wait, both of you shall be in you. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. Oh wait, no. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him, but ye know him, for he dwelleth with you.
Exactly, that right there. Like, not being popular, the world cannot receive the Spirit of truth.
Yes, they can't. It's so integral to how this whole thing looks. Everything, like, you go to every town, they're gonna have some imagery around the globe central on their bike trails and on their bags at their grocery store, and it's just everything is run through masonry, and it makes you feel crazy when you wake up. But then it's also this comfort because, oh man, like you are seeing it. You're not confused and deluded and thinking that you're just this speck and dinosaurs farted and they had and we still harvest oil from dead dinosaurs and all this just crazy, all these crazy like thoughts that you're used to be like cycling through are just not present, and things are complex and interesting, and there's so much to look into and educate ourselves on and understand, but it's so helpful to not have the clown world in front of it at forefront.
Yeah, exactly. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. So this is saying even Jesus is a part of the Spirit of truth. Yet a little while, and the world seeth me no more. But ye see me, because I live, ye shall live also. At that day ye shall know that I am in the Father, in my Father, and ye in me, and I in you. He that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him, and will manifest myself unto him. To him. And Judas saith unto him, not Iscariot, Lord, how is it that thou wilt manifest thyself unto us, and not unto the world? Jesus answered and saith unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. So this is so interesting, like having us as a part of like this abode of us with Christ. Like that's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
This is the part. So in the story, the Father was rejected in the Old Testament, it seems. Then Jesus came, and Jesus was rejected, and then this element of the Holy Ghost is now being rejected by the world, which is totally true. Like half of Hans Werneck's uploads have been made a mockery of.
Yeah.
By like Sir Sick, I believe is his name.
Oh, I can't stand that guy.
I don't even watch that stuff. I might watch like Hannah making fun of him or something, so it'd be interesting doing like a reaction to one of those videos, because I don't think they're like this. Never mind. I was gonna say something I shouldn't have.
The Sir Sick guy is awful because he'll just give you like a one sentence thing from Hans's and not go into any of the explanation. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Completely out of context.
Yeah.
But still, some people are being saved from that. Some people are finding out about the truth through that channel.
Yeah, they're interested. They have to watch it themselves, and then they do, and they're like, "Well, this guy clearly like cherry picked a comment and then riffed off of that instead of explaining thoroughly what he said and how there is truth to it, or it's interesting at the very least, and you ought to consider it. Like it's not nothing he says, in my opinion, is that outlandish. I don't agree with him on everything, but it's the response. It's not like he said before. It's not like some crazy person on the side of the street. It's somebody who's hitting on truth that bothers people. And that's
he has so many haters. It's ridiculous.
Sir Sick and Simon Dan. I mean, those two are big channels that are like just clearly like they make big videos on him because they want to trash on him, and they feel threatened because he knows and he's helping people out. He's saving people from snakes and people that want to like laugh about being part of the club and wearing NASA t-shirts. I mean, the whole NASA thing, seeing people wearing those shirts now with watches on and just looking at them, and it's the serpent's tongue, and I look at them and they just look oily and gross, and it's like that's what you want your like legacy or your life to be, is supporting this whole fake paradigm that doesn't even exist and has a snake tongue as a logo. Like how corny is that? It's really corny. And yeah, they're just thinking of like a Simon Dan's persona, where it's probably someone who got in trouble and is like forced to do this, or like I think the guy I woke up to a lot of things through, kind of like your own Benjamin character, was Zachary Hubbard, and looking at him now and from like from hindsight, and he feels so much like just a shill, and he doesn't ever address the flat earth, just completely pans it, and then doesn't go into the transvestigation at all. Comes with the truth of, your history is fake, like, which is interesting and good to know, but it like only takes you part of the way there, or the sports are fake and the history is fake, but doesn't bring in the deeper element, the spiritual element. And I just always felt like I was hung up on it. I was like, why can't he go further? Why does it feel like? And then he would ask for funds and ask for money, and so many of these guys do. It's the instant. Whenever I see that shit, whenever I see people asking for money, I'm like, I can't. I really, even if you have good information, there's just something about it. Like I can't I can't fully support it because it doesn't feel like your heart's in the right place. Like, you're sharing truth. The truth should be free. You shouldn't monetize it.
Yeah, it's like if you even have a question for someone, you have to be paying for them to respond. Seems to be the status quo for those channels.
It's insane. That's ridiculous. And that's a clear shark. Like, maybe they'll give you part of the truth, but it's how they're doing it. It's like, no, we should be having this like big discussion and open, and whatever ideas come through. Because like, how cool would it be to have Hans on just like an open, like, he's just there stream, and people come in with all these questions, and they're all like regular, genuine people, and he just, you know, or we do this too, you know, but but without the monetary aspect to it. It's just a free for all, and he picks the questions that he sees that seem good, and hangs out for like an hour or two, and then that's it. That'd be such a helpful video. Because I think
get some ideas churning.
And I think it gets you into this mode of like, it's like the classroom versus, you know, you have this, maybe you like, I think he does. He writes a lot of stuff out before he makes his videos. You have this plan. It's like you don't have a plan. You're thrown into the open, and now you have to answer questions on the fly based on all that you know. And I think it lends itself. It shows more like depth to truth, like things that you're gonna entertain that you wouldn't have otherwise. It's a good format.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna go back to it. Jesus answered and said, "If a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him." Okay, make our abode with him. He that loveth me keepeth not my sayings. He that loveth me not keepeth not my sayings. And the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father which sent me. So the whole time we were hearing the Father's words. These things have I spoken unto you, being yet present with you. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, from whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things. So he shall teach us all things, which it seems like he's teaching us a lot right now. It's a lot to handle each day.
It is. It's exciting and helpful and scary, but I feel like we are protected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And bring all things to your remembrance whatsoever I have said unto you. I remember specifically the tough moment of mine. I was like really broken down, really downtrodden, and I was just struggling to even walk. It was so tough. And as soon as the Holy Ghost brought to remembrance one of the things that God said, that Jesus said, I was just put at such ease. I can't explain it. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. So that's interesting. The same peace that had Jesus just sleeping on a boat while there's this great storm happening all around him, waves washing all over probably the front of the deck or something like that. We are having that same peace that Jesus is giving.
Yeah. It's amazing, like having that big release right amazing. Now. And every day it I think the exhale gets a bit deeper, because it feels like I don't know. What's coming to mind right now is this song. I don't remember the band, but the main chorus in it is "Am I Giving Enough?" And I always felt growing up like, because the social, the way things were, there's no way I was giving enough. And now since coming into this truth, I realize, given the way the world works and how we're treated, we've done a lot. We've been pushed down and pushed aside, and treated poorly for having genuine questions, and pushing narratives that don't go along with the status quo, because the status quo is destruction. And it just gets easier every day, and I feel like at the end of the day the sleep is better and the exhales are deeper, because the other big verse I think too with this on this note of him being on the ship and being calm is we talked about it before, the leave all of everything, the evil unto each day is of itself. You don't have to carry anything beyond to the next day. It's all it's all
Right.
it's unto itself. It's a whole new. I like thinking of it as like the canonical day. Every day is a whole new dream experience, and you can't allow the stuff, or you can't allow it. It genuinely has no effect. You can allow the stuff to affect you, but it's not smart. You should forgive people that may have done something to you during the day, and then if you have to see them again tomorrow, go in open-minded, and maybe things will change. If they don't, then that's how that person acts, and you're going to behave differently around them, and you're going to feel okay because you've learned. And yeah, I think the evil every day has a unique design to it. People eat different things, people have different interactions and different engagements, and you don't have to be thinking about all the craziness around you, all these people thinking about what you're thinking about and getting all paranoid. No, you can rest easy knowing that you have a safe passage through here with your word and with the good truths that we have to bring.
Yeah, I love that verse. It's, the evil is sufficient to the day thereof.
That's it. The evil is sufficient to the day thereof.
I've always kind of inherently understood that. Maybe it's because of my church background. But it's like I've never really cared about what happens the next day. Like, I just take each day, day by day, and rolling with the punches of it as it goes.
That's
it's
good.
So stressful to
I think it's a big depression idea where people will compound like a really bad situation and just be like, well, a week ago this happened and I just can't, like, I can't get over it. It's compounding. It's going to happen again. Like, I think it's hard. It's really hard. I think especially when you deal with death or with difficult parts of life, it's hard. But then when you know that there's a time for birthing and a time for dying, and you understand that there is a lot of depth to life and there is beauty in darkness, and I think it makes more sense that you don't have to carry difficult emotions with you beyond what's sensible. I think it's not sensible to hold on to difficult situations, like, oh, I wish I had said this, I didn't say this, and just be angry and stay up all night. Like, it's not healthy to do that. It's okay to make mistakes, and then you go back a little wiser the next time, and really your actions are going to be stronger than your words, and the things that you show and you do, I think inherently are more important than what you have to say. And what you have to say is critically important, but I think if you do make a mistake with your words, your actions are more telling. It's like you could say something stupid, but then the whole time you were committed and working well, and like that's not to be ignored. So yeah, I guess like it's so big. I think because for me, like, seeing that line, hearing that line over and over the last few years, it's given me a greater sense of calm, where I did think in my life things did compound, and I would definitely have days that it felt like we're hungover, not because of drinking, but because it was such a bad sour note, and I would let it sit or be thinking about it and whining about it. But yeah, that is such a helpful line. That when you go to sleep, you're healing, and you're like you're opening up to a new day. Like the chrysalis opens, and you open up to a new day. Like it's not,
right.
It's such a relieving feeling that you can go to this place and go into black, go into the ether, and then come out fresh and new again.
Yeah. Sleep is such a wonderful thing. And again in the scriptures, it talks about the rest that God gives us, that God gives like his true followers, is like unique. Like, they will not enter into my rest. I remember in a certain verse, and like they just aren't allowed to go into the same deep sleep that we are. It's so much more regenerating for people that are committed to God's way.
Yeah, it has to be. I think you doing anything is alchemy hormone stuff.
It's almost like a superpower too. Like when the Israelites were being oppressed by the Egyptians, they were given so much more work, and maybe this is possibly like like where the idea of like the pyramids come from is like just a bunch of miscellaneous bullshit work that the Israelites had to do because they were being genocided at the time. But they were just getting stronger and stronger. Maybe that's because of the rest God gave them was something special.